Welcome back. It's time for my next guest. She's only 19 years old, but she's already made 17 feature films. Before we get her out there, just as a reminder, here she's in one of my favourite movies, Hannah. There you go. If you haven't seen it, get out a copy. She's clearly not to be messed with. Please welcome the very talented Saoirse Ronan.
How are you?
Good with that. I'm very well. Come and sit down. Hey, it's great to have you on the show. I'm so excited you're on the show. I'm such a fan of yours.
Thanks for having me. I was looking at this backstage and it really does look like a hot dog. Giant hot dog?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of appropriate because if this was made of sausage, I would eat the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't have a problem. You're sure? Hey, so many movies in such a short period of time, and you got nominated for an Oscar when you were 13?
Yeah.
That must have... What a feeling that must have been. How did that must have been an incredible period in your life.
It was. I mean, it's funny looking back on it now because, in a way, it was just a bit of a blur, that whole experience, that event and everything. But I think just what I remember from the actual event was just being really hungry because, you know, you're on the red carpet for about 2 hours before you go inside. Yeah. And then you're in there for another 2.5 hours. And then by the time you get out, you know, you get a little tiny plate of food at the governor's ball, just a little bit, a little bit. So I was lepping. That's Irish for starving. I was really, really hungry.
What's the word for starving?
Lepping.
I was lepping?
Yeah, I was lepping.
What does that mean? I mean, I know it means starving, but...
It means you're famished,
But where's it come from, lepping?
I don't know.
It's just we
have a funny language at home.
But you still live in Ireland. You could live over here. You could live in Hollywood. I guess most of your work must be presumably in other countries. Yeah. And yet you live in Ireland with your family. This is you just want to stay there. You just like it that much.
I mean, I love Ireland. I would like to live in other places as well. I mean, I love London and I love New York as well. I was born in New York, so whenever I go back there, you know, I feel very much at home.
So how old were you when your family moved back to Ireland?
I was about 3.5.
One thing that strikes me when you're talking here, and I was listening to what you're saying, but at the same time it struck me that you've got a much stronger Irish accent than I thought you would have. Oh, yeah. And yet in movies that never comes through unless it's needed. So you must be pretty good at... You've mastered the art of hiding that or changing that. Are there accents you can't do, or are there accents which come easier to you?
I'd quite like to be able to do your voice, because I love the way you speak.
Steve?
But I've never done it.
Steve, can you do my voice?
Well, I try to do it, you know, and I certainly try to do it, but of course it's rather easy, really, isn't it? Because of course you've got the speech impediment that's sort of actually part of what makes you who you are, really.
That doesn't sound anything like me.
I haven't been practising, Jonathan, because I'm not that bothered about trying to do your voice.
OK, so your new movie, Saoirse's new movie is called Byzantium. It's not out until the end of May. May the 31st, I think, comes out. And it's a very different take on the kind of vampire story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like a more classical vampire story, I think. Like, it's more of a mythical kind of folklore take on it. But we don't have fangs. We're able to walk out into the sunlight. We don't turn into crystal...
Or bats.
Things. We don't turn into bats. But, yeah, it's basically about... these two women, and they've been turned into suppliants, we call them. We don't actually refer to ourselves as vampires, just to make sure that we have that little bit of separation there. And they're mother and daughter, and so it's just really about their relationship and how they've basically kind of floated through every single era for the last 200 years.
It's got you're in it, and the mother, and this is the key relationship, is played by the very beautiful Gemma Arterton, of course.
Yeah.
And I guess the point is, even though you're about the same age, the vampires don't age, or suppliants don't age in the same way, so that is an issue. Let me show you a clip. This is Byzantium, as I said, it's out May the 31st. That's Byzantium, so it's a very different... It's not a horror film. I wouldn't call it a horror film, would you?
No, I don't think so. It's a bit bloody.
Yeah. And your character, she doesn't attack people sort of like who are unwilling, does she? There's a kind of a twist there about how she chooses the people she feeds off of. Yeah,
but she's a nice killer. She's a nice vampire. Well, basically what she does is, in order to live with what she has to do so often, is she'll kill people who are ready to die. So she kills a lot of old people, and she'll...
she's like a vampire version of Dignitas.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the next movie you're about to make. I'm very envious of who you're working with on this, because you're going to work with Ryan Gosling. I know. Ladies, I know.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, and he is just about, one of the best screen actors going at the moment, but also this is a movie that he's writing and directing.
Yeah, he's not actually in it, he's just directing it. So.
Okay. And you've met him before? You know him from the past?
Yeah, well, he was actually supposed to play the dad in Lovely Bones.
That's right.
At one stage.
Now,
so,
I heard why they fell out over that, and it seems... Well, do you know why he didn't...
talk about it on television.
You're not allowed to talk about it?
Well, what did you hear?
I heard this. This was Peter Jackson had cast Ryan Gosling to play your character's father in The Lovely Bones, a part that was later played by Mark Wahlberg. And I heard that Ryan Gosling had his very own take as to what the character should be, and he went away and he put on a lot of weight. And he started changing, he changed his hair, and he looked kind of very different. He didn't look like Ryan Gosling. He looked like the Ryan Gosling that you see in Lars and the Real Girl, plus about another 30 pounds.
Right.
I think. And he came back to work and they went, whoa, hey, fatty, this isn't what we wanted, Ryan.
That's what we signed up for.
We wanted pecs and abs, Ryan. and then that's why they parted company. That's what I heard.
OK.
So what did you hear?
Interesting.
What did you hear?
That's what you heard. I won't... I mean, you know, it's all done now, but basically, you know, I think they all had a different idea of who they wanted Jack Salmon to be. And Ryan had one idea of what he wanted, and I respect that, to be honest, because I think seeing him, especially now and what he's done since then, he's a brilliant actor. And I really think, just from talking to him and just from seeing him on screen, you can tell he takes it very seriously, and he's not really a kind of self-aware actor like a lot of men tend to be, I think.
What do you mean by that, when you say self-aware?
I mean, sometimes you see men on screen and they're aware of how they look, you know?
So, but he must be aware of how he looks. He must know the impact.
I don't know if he is. I mean, when I watch him on screen, what I enjoy most about his performance is that he doesn't seem to care about any of that stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't. You're right. He does change his appearance.
So.
Hey, just before you go, and I know you're going to warm up, I want you to stretch. I want you to get warmed up, because I don't want you to pull anything, because you're going to race will.i.am, who looks actually, to be honest with you, you look like you're taking this quite seriously, Will.
I'm doing my meditation now, trying to get all my muscles aligned so I could just whip that butt in the race.
Will, you haven't said dope once in this interview.
Oh, I heard one dope. One dope did come out earlier.
I think he described me as being dope.
He's dope.
Yes.
A dope. It is.
A dope, yeah.
I was very happy to be described as dope.
Yeah. And Francesca, has Will called you dope yet this evening?
No, he hasn't. But on a different note, I want to see your abs.
I think...
Yeah, come on.
I think any kind of a gentleman would oblige that kind of request, Will.
Come on, Will.
My abs kind of look like if you peel open a Hershey's chocolate, you see the little squares?
Yeah.
Definitely is that.
Mine's similar. Mine's like if you peel open a Bounty bar and you just get one nice big... OK, Saoirse, it's been lovely to have you on the show. I'm very excited about the race.
Thanks, Jonathan.
It's coming up.
I'm going to win for you.
OK,
I'll try.
So we're going to be racing a little bit later on, but after the break I will be chatting to Steve Coogan. Of course, Francesca Martinez is coming up as well, but for now, will you join me in saying thank you to the lovely Saoirse Ronan, ladies and gentlemen. That was fabulous, thank you, and good luck.
Thanks very much.